What is going on, IF Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today I'm going to do something special since it's been 3 whole years since I posted my first videos, my 2016 videos that started this entire journey. I thought it would be cool and interesting if I review my own videos, considering that there's been new information, new studies throughout the years, more human studies as opposed to just rodent studies that either corroborated or refuted some animal studies. So I got my laptop right here and I'm legitimately going to review my videos from the past. And what better video to review than the one that kind of started it all? Not the transformation video, obviously that was a one-off. I put that transformation video out and then I left it there for 4 years before I even touched my channel and named my channel Fledge Fitness and did all of that stuff. So this is my first actual video where I was Fledge Fitness and I was actually trying to tackle the intermittent fasting realm and bring that to the audience and deliver videos every single week. This was my first video to start that. So it was the top 5 biggest mistakes when intermittent fasting. It's probably going to be a little bit cringy considering the fact that I was not very used to being on camera during that time. I mean, me being on camera, the way I am on camera now, how I just simply talk to it as if I was talking to a person, that just came from just, you know, the years and years and years of doing this every week, basically. So let me go ahead and hit play, and I will be critiquing or just, you know, reiterating some stuff to see if it still holds some water. I haven't watched this video in a while, so this will be very interesting for me as well. All right, so let's go ahead and start that. What's going on, everybody out there? It's Edward, ready to give you the top 5 biggest mistakes made when intermittent fasting by most intermittent fasters. All right, one thing to note, I had yet to use the moniker IF Warriors at this point, so I still haven't. This is how early this video is. I wasn't calling anybody IF Warriors. I was just saying, hey, what's up? You know, just a normal video. Just wanted to mention that. I don't know if anybody noticed that. I did. IFers. Here we go. Number 5. I've seen a lot of people do this, and I've seen a lot of people even criticize me for it. Don't mind me sweating. I just came out of the gym. I know it's a little bit disgusting, but don't worry. I took a shower. This is just the perspiration from the heat. Living in Miami is not as comfortable as it's made out to be. However, there's no snow, so you gotta like that. You gotta enjoy that. But I see a lot of people. All right, I took like a million years to get into the video. I do apologize for that, but let me just not do that now and just click and watch. What do is think that they need to adjust their time window so that they can have a full stomach or have food in their stomach when they go to the gym. It's a complete fallacy. You do not need to have any food in your stomach when you go to the gym. And on the contrary, if you have no food when you go to the gym, every cardio is 5 times more effective because your body is not using the current foods that you're currently breaking down for energy resource. Your body is very resourceful, so what it's going to do is it's going to actually go ahead and grab stored resources. Always try to go on an empty stomach. It's actually preferable if you go on an empty stomach. Number 4. All right, before we go into number 4, I guess, because I was doing a countdown in reverse, that actually holds a lot of water. What I said there at that time is pretty on point. The only thing is there's maybe some misconceptions in the way that I stated it, because it isn't that it's utilizing your food, it's just that because the glucose isn't there, your body is in fat burning mode. You know, you're in a somewhat of a state of ketosis because you've been fasting, so your liver is going to provide ketones to your brain. Meanwhile, your body fat is going to be used as the main primary source of energy. So any additional calories that you're exerting, those will be burned through body fat, basically, or primarily through body fat. There's been many studies, of course, related to this. I've even done rebuttals to people like Jeff Nippard, even Vegan Gains, when they've talked about how it doesn't affect it, and just based on the studies that they provided and how the studies that they provided were flawed, and also talking about the post-absorptive range, which is the most important part when it comes to why it works when you're doing intermittent fasting, not just an overnight fast, but intermittent fasting and then going into a fasted workout. All right, now let's move on to the next one. 4 is that people tend to eat too little. They go to the kitchen and they are so gung-ho on trying to lose weight that they end up eating less than what they should be eating, and they actually have a calorie deficiency that is not helping them. The healthy regulated number of calories that they need, and it ends up messing them up in the long run because they lose less energy. They start to lose energy when they start doing certain things, and it doesn't help them when they're going to the gym, especially when you're lifting weights. Number three is that people, that's just pretty much self-explanatory. People undereat when they do certain things, and a lot of people tend to undereat very easily with intermittent fasting because of the fact that intermittent fasting makes it easier for you to undereat. So you do always have to be mindful that you don't want to go too drastically low that it's affecting you metabolically. So you definitely want to focus on knowing the range of your calorie intake, even if you're doing intermittent fasting. Tend to eat too much, starving because they're not used to intermittent fasting, or because they always do this when they do intermittent fasting. Start eating like crazy without measuring any calorie whatsoever. What you need to understand is that when you're doing anything, it doesn't matter if you're intermittent fasting, it doesn't matter if you're doing the six meals a day. The science of calories in versus calories out will always remain true. The thing with intermittent fasting is that you can do it faster and it's actually healthy. Just because you're doing intermittent fasting does not mean that you have become a fat burning machine that no matter what you do to your body, you're gonna burn fat. If you go above your calorie intake, you will gain weight regardless. Doesn't matter. Number 2. Okay, so that's super important because throughout the years, I've noticed that there's been a bubbling of like communities in intermittent fasting or fasting, and they just have latched onto this notion that calories don't matter. And I've always stated since day one, literally, this is my day one video in terms of Fledge Fitness, that calories always matter. Calories will always matter. What intermittent fasting does for you is that it targets body fat more effectively because of the insulin reduction, the insulin sensitivity increase, those elements, the HGH, which protects muscle tissue, because a lot of things are happening because of the release of the glucose. All of these things, they benefit you in terms of losing body fat. They focus more on body fat. The hormonal elements of fasting help you burn body fat. But calories always will and still do matter because that science has never been debunked. Just because one doctor says something or 2 doctors says something, that's the whole appeal to authority thing. And trust me, I love, doctors that push intermittent fasting. I 100% do, because they are right on a lot of the things that they say, but you have to either read between the lines or see if what they're saying is exactly what you think that they're saying. Sometimes you think they're saying that calories don't matter, but really maybe they're saying that you shouldn't focus on calories because that hasn't been successful or effective. But it doesn't really truly mean that calories in and of itself doesn't matter. Calories will always matter. And the thing that with this, with that, I guess that was number 3. it's the both extremes that you tend to notice with intermittent fasting. Either you eat so much and then you're like, why doesn't it work? Or you eat very little and it works for you, but then you get like these heavy plateaus after a certain amount of time. So you always have to make sure that you're in that perfect middle, or just that range, just a range. Create a range, 1500 to 1700. You want to eat between that. Just create a range. That's it. As long as it creates a deficit for you, you'll lose weight. If you're trying to gain weight, then you just have to create a surplus. That's all. Number two. I just forgot number two. I'm doing this like off the top of my head. What is number two? Am I on number two? Was I on number three? Number two. What is number two? Number two was, and I'm sweating like crazy. Number two, that you can eat whatever you want. It does not matter, because when you're intermittent fasting, just to clear that up, I was doing it from the top of my head. However, I had already written down like what they were. Like I had it already prepared. I just didn't have it on me at the time. I think I don't know what happened. I think I had it in my bag and it was in the trunk and I was already doing the video. So I don't know where it was, but it would have definitely helped if I had it with me. But either way, they were accurate in terms of the numbering system and everything. So that was a little cringy, just considering the fact that I actually did not edit out me trying to figure out what number two was. But you live and you learn. Intermittent fasting is the golden nugget of weight loss. So guess what? Intermittent fasting is the golden nugget of weight loss. However, if you eat whatever you want and you don't measure any type of macros, or you don't have to necessarily measure it, but if all you're eating is predominantly carbs and bread and all that, and you're not giving any protein any love, then you're not going to be helping your muscle tissues to have more retention. If you're eating just proteins, then you're not going to have the carbs for the glycogen and for the help with the mass building and all these different things that carbs do for your body. So I would recommend that you pay attention to somewhat of what you're eating, because you want to at least mix it up and get all the macros that you can. And number one, and just to make it clear, I was not there wasn't any reference to the keto diet at all in that video. I was just simply, whatever your macro goals that you had, I just wanted to make sure that you can reach those macro goals. If you wanted more protein, if you wanted more carbs, whatever it was, that those things were still, I just wanted to say that those things were still important, even though you were doing intermittent fasting. Because especially at this time, early 2016, a lot of people were very confused about intermittent fasting, and people thought that there was so many misconceptions out there that you can just do this and it like negates all these negative factors of like what kind of macros you're eating or calories or anything for that matter, anything to that effect. But I wanted to make a point that those things are still important even though you're doing intermittent fasting. People basically wanted intermittent fasting to be like the magic thing where they didn't have to pay attention to anything else. That I see people do in intermittent fasting is they give up so early because they feel that anxiety of not being able to eat is going to remain so in their mind. Your body is very resourceful. It will adjust physically and in turn mentally. Fasting becomes, wow, I left everything in. Like my editing was very limited. If you see my jump cuts now, they're made to keep the video engaging and snappy, so you're never like, and there's never a dull moment. So anytime I go like, yeah, this, or I say something and I said it wrong, or like tongue twisted me, I'll just edit it out. I'll just cut and chop it and chop and chop it. But here I was, I don't know, I guess I was lazy with the editing. I don't know why I left those in, but all right, let me just finish this off. Very, very easy. After, I want to say 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, it's the easiest thing ever. Sometimes you're doing things and you forget, holy crap, I gotta eat. That's how easy it is. Shoot, can I eat now or not? God, I got another 2 hours to, oh my goodness, it's been like a half hour past my eating window opening and I haven't eaten yet. All right, so those are the top 5 intermittent fasting mistakes that I've seen people do, and I've also gotten messages about when they ask me. Those are the top 5 that I've noticed. When I first started doing this intermittent fasting thing, I did fall into some of those categories as well. With research, learning, moved on, and I've tried to perfect my craft of intermittent fasting. Please disregard all the sweat. This is absolutely disgusting. I'm looking at this thing. Yikes. But this is all because I was at the gym. Shower. I've showered already, so this is good. Shower, sweat. Working out, hitting the boxing bag, sweat. So I will see you next time, and don't forget.
All right. So, yeah, that it still holds water in terms of the especially that last one. Intermittent fasting does get easier for you the longer you do it. Just keep in mind, if you break that regimen, if you break that pattern, it might be harder for you to bounce back, especially if you do it in multiple consecutive days. I think it was very decent, actually, in terms of how the studies and the research has carried over to corroborate many of those biggest mistakes. Those were definitely the mistakes of that time, but I don't think that they're the biggest mistakes now, which is why I've done more top 5 mistakes and focused them specifically on regimens like the 16-8 or the OMAD. I have them up now in my channel, but it does still hold water in terms of the science. Calories do matter. Your macronutrient compound does matter. You know, like some people eat too much, some people eat too little, and some people give up too early because they think it's too hard, even though in reality it's like anything else, you just get used to it. Thinking about fasting before you ever fasted seems daunting, seems very scary, but once you do it, it's very, very easy. I was super uncomfortable with the camera. It was very obvious during that time, but you know, it's whatever. Everybody gotta start sometime. So let me know if you want me to do more videos like this where I tackle my popular videos of 2016 and see if they still hold water with the current science that we've had, since this has been 3 years ago. Just let me know if that's something that you want me to do. And of course, as always, I want to thank my patrons from my Patreon. I'm gonna go ahead and put their names right up here. Alright guys, and as always, I'll see you on Wednesday for another FAQ. Peace.